Right, so today I've just been on a jet washing job there. On the way back, I thought I'm going to do a quick video and show me a little setup what I've got, because I know when I was doing this setup I was struggling to find bits and pieces what I needed and exactly how to do it. It's pretty straightforward, but I'll run through it. But basically I've got this Petrol jet washer here. It's just a Clarke Tiger 2600A. It's not a bad machine. It's not super powerful, but it certainly does the job. And then on the trailer I've got a 1000 litre IBC container. Pretty straightforward. The awkward bit, well, it wasn't pretty awkward, but the bit that took a little bit of figuring out was connecting this pressure washer up to this tank, and there's a couple of other things that I'll explain. So firstly, when you get a pressure washer to do this setup, you need to make sure it can draw its own water. Now these are advertised as being able to draw their own water from water butt, etc. So what you get is this hose here with this filter on the end, which you drop into a water butt like so, and then it'll suck it from it, which is alright if you're around working around the garden or whatever, but obviously I needed something better than taking a water butt with me. So first thing, if that unscrews this filter, you end up with that. Well, that's a 3/4 male thread on this. So what I needed was to be able to connect it to the outlet of the IBC tank. Now these are advertised on, I think it was eBay or Amazon. I think it was eBay. These ones, and these, right, it's got written on there 2x1/2, so it's a 2-inch, which is your fitting to screw onto the IBC tank, by 1/2-inch outlet. Now I actually wanted a 2-inch by 3/4, because that's a 3/4, so I wanted to be able to screw that into there. They were advertised as 2-inch by 3/4, and I think I tried 2 or 3 times, and that's what I got sent every single time. They came from China, I think, so maybe they don't understand the difference between 1/2 inch and 3/4. I have no idea. Anyway, I also got that one, which will go straight onto a normal hose pipe connector, just a push fit. I haven't used that as yet, but I thought I might if this isn't long enough. I can do it that way. So all I did, here's another one, like Blue Peter. This here's another one I made earlier. Anyway, so I had a fitting in the van that makes it from 1/2 inch to 3/4. I've put a little filter, if you're seeing there, a little gauze filter, just to catch any crap that comes out of the tank, and then that screws onto there. So there, that's the main thing that we need to do, convert from the IBC to that hose. So that's that first little bit done. Simple as that. Like I say, the hard bit was getting the correct fitting. Ideally it wanted to be a 3/4, but that works. So the first thing was the IBC container. I bought that. There was some that were on pallets and things which were not as good. This is quite nice. It sits nicely on the trailer. I've got the ratchet straps on there, putting it down. I got this off of somewhere, I think it was Facebook Marketplace, for 30-35 quid, something like that. So that there unscrews. That's just another little filter. Made a little bit of gauze, and that obviously goes onto there. That's straightforward. So that now gives me connection to the water tank onto there. So that's that little bit. So I got that setup done. Got my hose, my connectors, everything like that. So I got the tank. It's a 1000 litre tank. Now this trailer only comfortably holds 500 kilos, so that's 500 litres of water. So the first day I went out to do a job, half filled my tank. On here we go. I can see that, well, I don't know, you'll probably not be able to see, but there's basically lines on there. There's 1000 litres, 500 litres there. So I filled it up to 500 litres, half a tonne, nice comfortable weight. Headed off down the road, and the whole van shaking from side to side. Obviously the water sloshing side to side as I'm moving. It felt rather uncomfortable. It wasn't the most pleasant feeling, shall we say. You could feel the whole van rocking. Anyway, did a bit of research, and what you have to do inside here, well, I'll show you anyway. I'll stop the camera, and I'll undo the lid, and I'll show you inside there what you have to do to stop that. there's the lid off. Now I don't know whether you can see in there, but this here, that there is just land drain. So I'll try and get a better view in there without dropping this in. But there's just bits of land drain coiled up and a few pieces just chopped. And what this does, this actually prevents the water from sloshing around in here. It's sort of has like a bit of a barrier to it, so it basically stops it from sloshing around, and it works absolute wonders. And that there, that's the main thing that you need to do. You need to remember that was everything else was dead obvious, simple, other than getting the wrong one of these sent every time. But that there was a thing I had to research on YouTube. It took a bit of finding, but once that's done with the land drain, jobs are good, and it tows exactly the same, or very similar to having the half-ton digger on the back. No particular swaying about. So that is a must. You must always do that to make it nice and stable. I think if it was in the back of a van, I think it could end up shaking it about all over and probably be unstable on the road. Now, before I put the land drain in, what I did, I filled the water tank up to this 500, say the 500 litre mark, because what you've got to remember is when you put the land drain in, that's going to increase the volume, so your 500 litres is actually going to be at a different level. So that's why I've put this, it's not done it by much, it's moved up probably 10 mil. So I put 500 litres of water in, then I filled all my land drain, stuffed all that in, the full coil plus a few other bits I'd lying around. Then I made this mark. I just put this piece of vinyl on, so I now know the actual 500 litres is actually at the bottom of this piece of vinyl. Now, that's one thing that you need to remember. One final point, when you actually use this jet washing, I always take this lid off, obviously let air in there. I imagine if that was tight on there, it would probably try and sort of suck the container in, make it sort of collapse inward or whatever that is. I don't know, I've never tried it, but I assume that's what happens, so I always just take that off when I'm jet washing and everything's fine. I get about an hour's worth of jet washing. I think that does about 7 litres, 8 litres perhaps a minute, something like that, and obviously 500 litres, that equates to about an hour roughly of pressure washing time, which is perfectly good for most jobs. There's a couple of the sites I have to do 2 trips there to get the job done, but generally it's pretty good getting an hour's worth of running time, certainly better than just chucking it into a barrel or a bucket. I think you'd be on all day, plenty of hours doing that. So this little setup probably cost us in the region of, I think, about 400 quid, 420 quid. I think that was about 320 plus the VAT perhaps. The IBC tank was 30 quid, I think, 35 quid. Coil of land drain, that might have been, I don't know, 50 quid. And then probably a tenner for the other little fittings, the screw-on bits. So I don't know what that adds up to, but somewhere in the region of 400 to 450 quid. I used to hire a machine like that with its own Bowser on. I think it held about 150 litres. I used to hire that was about 150 quid a time, so I used to hire that every year. So it just made sense to do my own little setup, and I think it's worked well. It's probably paid for itself about now, so all good. So hopefully this video has been useful to someone. I could have done with this before I set all this up. Would have been a little bit helpful to sort out what I needed for the tank and things, the land drain and whatever. So as always, thanks for watching, give the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.